Okay, here we go. Okay, so 100年前ぐらい. This is the image of education. And so this is, the good point is universal education. お金持ちだけじゃなくても全員勉強して That's good. So social equality and literate society, these are goals. But when you look at this picture, you can see the focus is teaching and testing. And the focus, another focus, is control of the students, right? And the focus also on everybody being the same. And in this style, one of the things is students are like things to be worked on. That's kind of the ideas in this style. It's like factory style.
じゃあ全部やることはないけど、やっぱりユニバーサルだから、みんなに汎用な教育をやっていた。特にスチューデントとシングストリーワークなので、とにかく勉強するもので同じようにする。で、生徒たちをコントロールする。というようなこと、それから教えることが注目されていて、ティーチング、テストをするということが注目されていた時代もあります。ということですね。はい、お願いします。
素晴らしい。はい。OK、同じ時ぐらいこの人数。So these people started at the same time, started to give some new ideas. Very famous, very famous. John Dewey, experiential learning, learn by doing. That's really like John Dewey made that one. Super famous. This guy, Lev Vygotsky, he's very famous for this idea called social constructivism. And that means people learning together, learning from each other, which he thinks is a more natural way. And that's this is very common in 21st century learning. This woman, Maria Montessori, she made her own method, and a big focus of her method was student-centered learning. So focus on the students, focus on the students, focus on the students.
これは生徒たちに注目するという教え方の3つですが、左側は留意で、ラーニングバイドイン、見ながら学ぶんだ。で、こちらはビゴツキーで、社会構成主義、お互いに学ぶっていうことですね。それからモンテッソーリです。生徒たちを中心にした学びということですね。
OK、これ前の写真から、これどう違う So you have traditional style, that was the picture before, and then this style is more progressive. So same thing, same goal, social equality, literate society. But it changes from focus on teaching and testing to focus on learning and development. Focus on controlling students, focus on student agency. You know this one, right? Focus on sameness versus focus on differentiation. Everybody in their own way. And focus on students on things to be worked on. So this one's treating children as people. And the experience now is important. So that's 100年前, この idea. Those things, they were doing these things 100 years ago.
この右側のもかなり前、1896年ぐらいですから、その頃からもっと生徒の進歩とか発達に注目をしよう。で、スチューデントエージェンシー、生徒が自分から学ぼうとか、他の人に影響を与えて自分も学びの中心になっていこうというようなことに注目したり、お互い違うということに注目したり、生徒を人間、人々として扱うというふうになりました。
So that was 100 years ago. 100年前。やっぱり100年 after 100 years. やっぱり global standards are shifting to progressive universal education. Is that okay?
ちょっとずつ変わっていっている。
プログレッシブとユニバーサル両方合わせます。対するユニバーサル、プログレッシブ。それ合わせてこれから100年後はこっちです。
So around the world, it's starting to shifting away from traditional style, shifting to the 21st century learning. It's shifting now, after 100 years. 例えば, this is the 文部科学省. So this is the plan. So you can see, Ryan, we have to use the new guidelines. That's the guidelines. The proactive learning, interactive learning, deep learning. No, guidelines, curriculum. There's kindergarten, elementary school, junior high school. So many of the ideas, there's the same like John Dewey and Vygotsky and student-centered, 21st century learning. Many of those changes, they're the same ideas from 100 years ago. That's what I mean when it's shifting. It's starting to shift now. いいですか?
今からシフティングをしていきますと、もう100年前に先頭たちが中心とやってきたので、そこからのシフティングですよっていうことですね。
Okay, why is it shifting after 100 years? なぜあと100年やっぱり変わっている? Okay, I will tell you the answer a little bit later, but I know that, so here's the three things, the three main focus. Proactive, interactive, deep learning. I am working with Osaka City Board of Education now to make teacher training for February, 2月の teacher training する今、教育委員会と I'm developing a program.
今大阪市教育委員会と共同というかそこのコースも務めながら先生方へのティーチャートレーニングを作っておられます。それは2020もうすぐ2月。来年の2月にそれをすると、その準備をしているそうです。
So we're making 3 training videos. One video is for proactive learning, one video is for interactive learning, one video is for deep learning. 3 training videos.
3つのトレーニングビデオを作っておられて、おそらく大阪の市の人はね、見るんじゃないかと思いますが、3種類作っていますということ。
Why is around the world, many countries, they're shifting now? Why?
なぜ今世界はすごくシフティング変わっていっているのでしょうかという問いです。
And so again, the topic for this presentation is the teacher in the global age. So the answer is in these 2 words, globalization and internationalization. So what is globalization? Globalization is, so the world economy is becoming more connected. You depend on other countries more. The knowledge of the world is more connected between countries. ICT, a lot of new ICT around the world. English is being used around the world. And then there's some other things. So it's all of these forces around the world where things are moving forward. That's globalization. よろしくお願いします。
はい、グローバライゼーションとは何かというと、今は経済がすごく統合されているし、ICT、それから新しいノレッジ、知識のネットワークが国際化して、それが実現している。で、英語の役割、他の、力ですね、もっとアカデミックインスティテューションですから、学校同士とか大学同士を超えたような他の力も働いているということです。
So we don't control that. That happens like naturally. From the human species. Yeah? What we do control is internationalization. So internationalization is the response to globalization. So for example, the government, Osaka-shi and Japan, they decided to make Suito Kokusai. That's a program or a policy to help to match globalization. So China, for example, is doing a lot with education in response to globalization. South Korea, Australia, Canada, America, many countries are doing a lot in response to globalization and the type of thinking and skills that we think we need in the future. So many countries are already doing that. Now, Japan is doing it. I showed you the curriculum changes, right? That's all a response. That's an international response to this force that's called globalization. So after 100 years, yappari, it's becoming no choice. We have to do this. And already many countries are doing it.
グローバライゼーションは自然にもうなっていくわけだけれども、青い方は自分たちはそのグローバライゼーションにリスポンド、対応するように、自分たちはお互いにインターナショナルに関わっていきながら変わっていかなければならないということが青い方に書かれています。例えば、大阪市は政策としてこのプログラム、スイートのプログラムを入れることです。それはグローバライゼーションに対応するために政府が実行しているということになります。
So the teacher in the global age, the changes that you are being asked to make by Monbu, Gakusho, and everybody, that is part of the global change, right? So being a teacher in a global age means, yeah, you have to update. You have to meet the expectations for the future.
未来への期待がかかっているそのグローバライゼーションの中に私たち住んでいるので、先生自身もそこにシフトしてアップデートしていくというのは私たちはその中にいるという意識が大事です。
And really the time is over. You can't just think about what's happening in Japan anymore and just do education for inside of Japan. The globalization means you're connected everywhere now. That includes internet and everything. Okay, Suito Kokusai. So again, Suito Kokusai, that's an example of Suito Kokusai, international school. So in internationalizing public education in response to globalization. Why did we make Suito Kokusai? One of the missions is to show, like all of those guidelines and things, how can you really do it in a public school? So many people have great idea, but the great idea and the reality, how do you go from the idea to doing something good in school? So Suito Kokusai is like a laboratory, it's like an experiment to take all of these good ideas and try to make them real.
スイート国際はそういうミッションというか文部科学省によって認められたプログラム、特別なプログラムだけれども、それは、なぜかというと法律の中でどんなふうにその実現していくかというミッションを見ているということです。ですので私たちのメインミッションですね。メインミッションはどのようにして良い方法でそれをするかということを実行していくんだということです。
So again, globalization is happening. It's happening now. And Osaka Shi decided to internationalize and respond to globalization by making Suito Kokusai. That was the reason to make Suito Kokusai. So the teacher in the global age is a very important question. Okay, maybe I think he maybe doesn't.
先生であるということは今グローバルエイジの中に住んでいます。
Okay, school vision, これです。I won't spend too much time. We have the 3 E's, E. Encourage, 頑張って頑張って。Engage, 面白いこと。先の授業ちょっと面白いことをやって、なんかつまらないことをずっとじゃなくても。Empower, できるよ。You can do it. They learn. だんだんほんまに自分でできます。Okay, encourage, 頑張って。負けても大丈夫。Even if they fail, it's okay. We want them to try and learn. Try and learn. Again, this is like John Dewey, Lev Vygotsky, all of these things. Engage, so student-centered, learning-centered. What's interesting for students? And empower. やっぱり自分でできます。Global. 日本に global でどっちだ。So you can see この感じの教育したら if you do this type of education over time the students will say, I don't need your help. We can do it. それ変わるな。他の学校はいつも先生お願いします。何しようか先生お願いします。 この感じの教育とはだんだん、先生も今もう自分でできますから。That's the difference. So 水戸国際 we mix なんか今までの教育はイランじゃない。一番、we take the best things from traditional education and we mix it with the best things from new styles of education.
左のように玉あれは落語かな。日本の伝統的な良いものと、そして新しい良いもののベストをつなぎ合わせていますということです。
Yeah, that's the strategy. We balance active learning with passive learning. 両方は大事です。アクティブしすぎしたらもう大変、生徒に。これ、passive learning しすぎしたらつまらない。ね。So we go 50-50の方がいい、やっぱり。Individual learning, the group learning. We try to do maybe 50-50. これしすぎはダメです。ダメです。これしすぎダメです。Of course, 21st century skills, critical thinking, personal, emotional, social development, physical development, and we have many, many chances for public speaking at this school. Is it okay? Okay? English. 何の授業は英語で勉強します。当たり前。English、数学も英語、Science、理科、I think, Global Studies, Community in Action. So they have many subjects that are taught in English. And they have English support in the class, and they also have Japanese language support for なんか翻訳 interpretation とかいろいろ。
たくさんの教科が、英語で教えられているんだけども、クラスの中にはラングジサポート、つまり日本語のサポートもいれば、英語のサポートも両方いて、ティームティーチングされている様子ですね。
So again, the globalization, so だから英語。最近 we had it's called TOEFL Junior Test, and 6人、高1、6人、they're in the top 7% of the world to score. その感じ。Technology 2020年です。みんななんか携帯持ってます。Everybody has パソコン持ってる、携帯持ってますとか。でも学校まだあまり使ってない、まだまだね。So we have a lot of technology. We're a Google for Education case study school, huh? Officially Google の中学生全員 Chromebook 持ってますと、国生は自分のラップトップ持ってる。Okay, this part is なんか日本語で言うことができないかな。So children have a lot of technology, but they don't know how to use it academically. So we show them how to use technology in an academic way, right? For
子供
research.
たちはもちろんどうやって使うか ICT はよく知ってるんだけど、勉強のためにアカデミカリ学術的に調べたりとか、そういう使い方がまだまだできないので、そこを頑張っています。
And up until now, we have not had any major problems with iPhone. Like we haven't had any problems with students abusing the technology. なんか問題ない。今まで携帯持ってるとか、悪い写真撮るとか、問題今までなかった。Okay, technology. いっぱい technology ある。So もう頑張る日本語でいろんな先生、新しい先生来たら多分テクノロジーそんなになんかできません、ね、でもすぐ上手くなります。生徒もすぐ上手くなる。 In this case もうコロナバイラスありますね。 So もう6週間ハイブリッドラーニングやってた最近。ハイブリッドは もう生徒は教室にいますと同じ時パソコンで今回は4人家から授業入ってるそれ私たちの水戸国際の生徒は大阪市大阪府から来ますね。電車乗らなければなりませんから保護者たちちょっと心配ありますね、コロナ。だからもうだからハイブリッドラーニングするもういいポイントはこれ家だったらこれ見る。そうこんな感じ。僕のオフィスの中で全員の授業を見ることができる。みんなやってますか？大丈夫かな？ That's hybrid learning, と recording できる。夏に6週間 100% オンライン。ハイブリッドじゃなくても 100% オンラインやってた。明日からまたハイブリッドする。ね。とできます。今までこれ初めてですよ、今年。100% オンライン、ハイブリッドラーニングする。でも、生徒たちのために頑張っている。テクノロジーやる。ちょっと、if we use it in a little bit of a different way, we can do that, right? ちょっと考えたら、もう今の学校のテクノロジー、ハイブリッドできる。オンラインできる。ね。頑張る。これやってみよう。マイクフォン使うか、使いませんかとかいう、そういう感じ。生徒もな。So, here's the interesting thing about our school. All of the festivals, all of the events, big events, students plan those. It's not the teachers. And for this time, because we couldn't do academic fair in person, we could not. So the students planned to do 100% online academic fair. The students made all of the plans for that, to do an online academic fair.
オンラインでアカデミックフェアというのをやるんだそうです。100% オンラインで彼らがプランもするし計画もしてということでフェアを運営しているということです。I think that is also hybrid learning, is it? The previous slide. So this is academic fair, but the different one, light one, or the next one. So this, for example, the is standing on the stage and having the video. So is it a hybrid learning?
Well, this was, in this case, there was nobody at home joining. This was just the students at school. And this junior high school student, she did some research. She's presenting her research project. These are all junior high students. But nobody was joining from home. Yeah. But, so...
100%.
Yeah, so, well, for this one, so this girl is presenting in the science lab, and the students are in the classroom. And if some VIPs they were watching from somewhere else, but it wasn't open event to like the world, you know.
So it means that the left picture and right picture has happened in the different period.
Right. No, it was live, but so this is the same thing, and all of the students are in the classroom watching like this. They're like watching like TV or something, right? So, まあそんな感じでした。I don't know why they did that, but まあ。
100% オンラインなんだけど、みんなそこにいてパソコン。私たちの授業と似てますね。So actually, we are in Osaka University. We are doing the same thing now. It's pretty. Sometimes there are so many happenings, but yeah, and the students have the computer, and also we see that Zoom or.
Yeah. Well, I think for me the interesting thing was the students did project planning for how to do this event using the technology. The teachers don't decide that for the students.
こういうことを生徒たちがどういうふうにすれば考えて、そして決めてやっているということが大事ですね。
And we do that with sports festival, cultural fair, and all that. The students decide all of those things. School rules, we almost don't really have like behavior rules, school rules. We don't. If teachers can dye the hair, students can dye the hair. If teachers can ride the elevator, students can ride the elevator. If there's a problem with behavior, we don't say, don't do that. What we do is we ask the students, what do you think? Is this right? Please talk about it. Tell us if you want to make a rule or tell us if you want to change something. The teachers and the adults don't decide that, the students decide that.
生徒たちが決めるようにしているので、特にこうトップダウンで決めたような法則というものはない。むしろ、例えば先生が髪の毛を集めたと、生徒も集めるだろう。で、いろんな問題が起こりそうだったら、そこで話し合ってどうするかということを決めるっていう方針だそうです。
考えるのチャンスあげたいな、チャレンジしたい。やっぱり大人になりますから。時も、OK、ちょっと練習しました、この感じの大変な問題。ティームでもうその感じでいろいろ
考えるというチャンスをあげてください。
Okay, school festival. This was by the students. The important point here is just the 雰囲気。この学校の雰囲気。と生徒全部考えたこれ。So the students planned that. And one of my main this one also. This was not planned. This was like just whatしましょうか. The students like going to school. They enjoy going to school. They enjoy meeting the friends. They enjoy having some power in the school, student agency. The teachers like it, right? And you think maybe if you're worried like, oh, maybe they're having fun but they're not studying or doing something. So the Osaka standardized tests, our students, the junior high school, have some of the highest scores in all of Osaka. So you can do really well academically and you can enjoy school. You can have a good environment, right?
大阪市では標準テストっていうのかな、名前がない。
それやろ。
チャレンジですかね、そういうのがあって、もちろん彼らもそれを受けるんだけど、そこでは頑張って高いスコアを取っています。で、勉強もするけれども、学校を楽しむ。で、学校でパワーを自分で発揮するっていうことを大事にしています。
それ同じアイディア、100年前、ジョン・ドゥリー、レヴ・ビガツキー、マリア・モンテッソーリ、そんな感じの話。同じ。まあ、この感じ。いろんな VIP も入ってる。OK。でも、水戸国際はもういい感じけど、もう It's not perfect. We have some problems. We're still making the school. It's a new school. 2019年から。例えば 40% の外国人です。もういろんな国から来る。それとも休みといろんな国に行きたい。でも今できない。Coronavirus から。They can't travel, right? Or it's hard for us to hire people, right? Because of immigration, things like that. So we have we're not a perfect school and we have problems and things like that. のポイント言いたかった。
わかりましたね。講義には移民をしてきてこちらの先生になる人がなかなか今面接とか採用ができない中でいろいろな難しいことがありました。
We're not perfect. 完璧じゃない。でも頑張っています。We're trying. ちょっとギャンブル。We're proactive. So we have leaders who support change. All of our school leaders support change. I mean, that's why we have Suito Kokusai. Suito Kokusai no意味それです。So our leaders, they support change. Teachers, our teachers want to try. No, じゃない。Suito Kokusai のスタッフだったらもう何かやってみよう。Parents, the parents want to see change. So the first year that we opened, 2019, the first year that we opened, we had over 500 applications for junior high, for 80 seats. but we didn't open a school. We had no reputation. Why were so many people applying? They were applying because they want change.
2019年に始まったそうですが、まだ何もしてないから何のご評価もないのにたくさん応募があったと。で、おそらく保護者っていうか親が期待をしたりとか、何か変わるっていうことを期待しているんじゃないかというふうに感じるそうです。プロアクティブっていうのは、予想しながら予想していくプロアクティブですね。で、事前に予想しながら証拠していくようなことを言います。そういう学校のカルチャーということで、リーダーは、チェンジをサポートする。先生たち、リーダーっていうのは校長先生とかボッティング先生とかですね。で、ティーチャー、先生たちは、やってみるということとやっている。そして、保護者は、生徒たちが変わるのを見て、生徒たちはオーナーシップ、自分が学校の主であるというか、自分たちが学校を動かしていくんだということをやっていきたいということです。
So this is a proactive, and it's important. It's not just one class. It's not just one teacher. It's the whole school culture. The whole school needs to be like that. So everybody at this school, we're proactive about doing a good job now and going into the future. 以上です。
はい、ガクさんには質問あると思うので、どうぞ行きましょう。カラオケでいいですか？もうオーナーシップ。
So thank you for your speech. I really want to be your school teacher now. So next year, 高校3年生 you will have their first 高校3年生 next year.
Yes.
And then I want to know that what kind of university they want to go.
Yeah. So should we explain the question first? 日本語で質問同じ質問。来年初めて高3生を持つと思うんですけど、どんな大学に行きたがってるのかなと。 森田先生、聞こえますか？今の質問。OK。答えはちょっと難しいです。なんで、コロナウイルスあるから、なんか、コロナウイルスの前、なんかすごいたくさん生徒は、なんか他の国の学校に行く、大学に行く欲しかったな。でもコロナウイルスから多分無理って感じかな。I think. But we're still trying. We're still looking at universities overseas. The reality is most students will study in Japan, I'm sure. But we do have a lot of students who are interested in overseas. So, やっぱり my answer is we have career guidance department. We have some staff who look at this, and those staff are working very, very hard to find a path for the students. And we don't have all of the answers yet. And it's more complicated now because of coronavirus. To send students overseas, right? Yeah, but yeah, we're working on that right now. It's a good question. I don't have a full answer.
Thank you.
今のは自分で訳してセルフトランスレーションです。
あ
あえてサポーター。
結局はっきり言ってしまえばまだわからない。でも多くの生徒は日本の大学を希望すると。で、今はコロナのそういう状況もあるんで、ただやっぱり海外で大学を考えている生徒がたくさんいるので、ちょっとその辺の見ていきながら、僕もちょっと来年どうなるか楽しみにしながら見させてもらおうと。
もう一つの言いたいこと。確かにすごいドイツ興味があります。ドイツのすごい興味がある。
森田先生がドイツの教育に詳しい話をしましたら、とっても今興味を持って。
森田先生、ドイツもご専門な人。
So the cost of education in America, in many countries, is very expensive. めっちゃ高いな、いろんな国。でもドイツはめっちゃ安いから、すごい興味があります、ドイツ。今調べています。
So how about inviting international students now to see the book site?
I think
One or two or several.
At the moment, because of coronavirus, anything like that is on pause. Even our trips to a different country, everything's on pause. We're always canceling the trips, and anything international right now is very difficult. But I think in the future. Any more questions?
Yes. I want to ask about, thank you very much for your speech. I want to ask you about the evaluation. I saw the students are very active and they're active to learn, active to know, active to enhance their many things in-house. So how to test or how to measure their growth is kind of hard, I think. So what are you doing? Tell me about that.
Yeah.
でもめっちゃ頑張っていろんなことを知ろうとしたりとか成長しようっていうのはすごく思うので、ただ知識だけのことじゃないように見えたので、どういうふうに評価するんですかっていうところで、テストがあるのかないのかもそうだし、どうやってる何をしてますかっていうところ。
So again, we do use traditional testing. Like this week, we have the exams. And then our junior high students do the challenge test for Osaka and things like that. And we have normal tests and things. Of course, we have rubrics. So something like deep learning or presentations is better for rubrics. It's difficult for me to answer that question because it's not really my job. Like we have a vice principal in charge of senior high and a vice principal in charge of junior high. And my job is up here looking at the whole school and focused on success, working with government. So the details about how people are testing and things like that, the vice principals know better than I do. But I do know that, like this week, they're doing exams and
Thank you very much. テストは普通に、あると。で、チャレンジテストでさっき言ったのもあるし、学校のテストもそれこそ先週ぐらいに期末テストみたいなのもちゃんとやってるというふうなところであると。ただ、学校全体を見る副校長先生なので、中学校の教頭先生、高校の教頭先生と別にまたいるので、その人らの方がどっちかというと内情とかには詳しいので、あまり詳しいお答えはできへんけど、一応やってはいるよっていうふうなことを教えていただきました。
ありがとう。何か思い出した。はい、どうぞ。So I just remember now, we do a lot of formative assessment. So giving feedback, checking in class. わかりますか？And at the end of class, maybe the students give a paper and reflection. Do you know reflection? So I'm always telling the teachers, please check comprehension during your lesson. Formative feedback, good feedback, those things. But that's not for marks, right? That's to help the learning. And so the teachers know, do the students understand or not? Yeah. That's also super important.
フォーマティブアセスメントというのは形成的評価っていうかね、パフォーマンス評価に近いですね。でだからそれでスコアを渡すというよりは、もうフィードバックその場で励ましていくっていうことにかなり力を入れています。
もし、先生質問ありますか？
For the presentation, I want to know about the teacher training. Maybe at first, 2019, maybe some of the teachers couldn't do their active learning and something like that. So I want to know about this teacher training.
Yeah, that is a great question. Can you ask me?
先生たちが多分最初はそういうアクティブラーニング的な授業とか、いう対話的な授業とか、ディープラーニングとかってできなかったと思うんですけど、それをどうティーチャートレーニングしていったのかを知りたいです。
Okay, so our school is a startup school. We started in 2019, a fresh school. Not 20 years, not 10 years of school, it's like 2 years of school. That needs special staff because there's many problems, many things teachers don't know what to do. So they have to be they have to be tough, they have to be strong and flexible because things are always changing. So in the first year, there was too much lecture style, too much traditional style. So I was doing like, around 去年の今ぐらい、ちょっと注意して、もっとアクティブ頑張って、なんか、いろいろ、もうずっと普通の教え方ね。So, and then I said, I made a goal. 50%、頑張って、active, passive. 4月、来年の2020年4月から50%、40% のゴール頑張りましょう。今から3ヶ月ぐらいあった。と、トレーニングでわからないな。でも突然みんなできてるみたい。多分They asked other teachers. We have 40% は外国人、60%日本人と、そう、もう外国、日本関係ない、いろんな先生は、例えば藤田先生、今日の、キャラできてる。ね。そう、ちょっとアドバイスあげます。あげることができる。So we didn't do a lot of teacher training for active learning. I gave some examples, but I didn't train everybody. I really just gave them pressure to try new things, right? And I think maybe my guess is that they started talking to each other and helping each other. That's my guess.
基本的には何かトレーニングを具体的にしてるというよりは、なんか先生同士のコミュニケーションの中でこんなんできるんじゃないかみたいなことをしていく中で今の形になって、ね、最初は、ティーチングのスタイルが多すぎたからプレッシャーをかけて、でこの春から、50%目指しましょうっていう形でやり始めて、今藤田先生みたいな授業ができて、藤田先生なんかはもうすでにできているので、そういう彼とのコミュニケーションの中でできてるんじゃないかなみたいな感じでした。
すみません。ごめんなさい。もっといい子でなんかすみません。It's a good question.
すみません。We're now about English class. You're doing English class in English, or how do you teach them the grammar?
They follow the book. They follow the textbook.
They're using the traditional grammar book.
Yeah, we use the approved books, the Kyoiku, the approved books. That's where the grammar is coming from and the vocabulary and all of that. But what to teach is decided. How to teach, that's up to the teacher. And so we try to find good ways for the how part that focuses on learning things like that. But I hope you'll see the Ishikawa sensei's training video. And he does a great job to combine the traditional style with new techniques.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I would like to ask you about a bit of culture background about the theory you introduced, about the progressive learning theories. Like Japan has started to appreciate those theories in the next national curriculum, and I understand the part. But what about in Western society, like America or those European countries? Ever since those theories got introduced, they have they have appreciated those theories and they put into practice in their own curriculum. Or the situation is kind of similar to Japan. You know, I want to know like reaction or perception by those Western countries when they first got introduced.
Yeah, that's a great question. Can you mention in Japanese?
このデューリとかそういうモンテッソーリとかの理論が19世紀の中頃出てきた時、日本はこの100年後に今の学習指導要領とかで脚光を浴びてるっていう中で、じゃあ当事国であるそういった西洋の諸国ではどういうふうに扱われたのかっていうのを聞きたいです。
So a lot of these shifts are happening because of research into education, right? So Dewey and Lev Vygotsky and many other people have ideas about education, and we research and we research and we see, oh, yeah, it does work. We get better outcomes if we make these changes. And my feeling is that, yes, it's coming from the West, but not only the West, and there's many countries doing it, Singapore, many places, it's not about culture as much as finding something better and doing that. Whether you're from the West or whether you're from here. So about the pushback, like when you start the program, well, the first thing I will say, every country has great education, has bad education. Canada, dokodemo. Some schools are good, some schools are not good, right? So I cannot say like all of education in Canada is great. No, it's not. All of education in America is great. No, it's not. Some schools do modern style, some schools don't. And also the teachers, right? So for us, at Suito, we try to build for our school the culture where everybody in the school is doing a good job. And so, I don't know if I'm answering the question. You're asking about pushback when you're implementing, right? When you start to push it. People don't like change, right? So especially Japan, the strong point about Japan is making systems and following those systems, keeping those systems going. Japan is maybe one of the best in the world, maybe the best in the world at making systems and going with systems. And these systems, they're not small, they're huge. So when you talk about changing the education system, there's going to be many people who don't like that, right? It's hard to do. You have to change all the papers, all the policies, train people, everything. So just from the manager side, it's really hard and people don't like it. Teachers, they have ways of teaching that they like, they don't want to change, so people don't really like change. But that's why I'm saying about globalization, we're getting to a point now where even if you don't like it, you need to do it because it's getting too late in this global environment where we're all internationally connected. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even though it's painful, we're more and more in a position now where we are forced to do this change, and even if we don't like it, even if there's pushback, it's like putting technology into schools, ICT into schools. We really need to do that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you very much.
ありがとうございます。じゃあ、そろそろ時間があれなんですけど、今おっしゃったのは、やっぱり日本って一つのシステムを作って、そして前に進めていくってことが非常に上手な国。でもその片面でやっぱりチェンジ、変わるってことをちょっと嫌ってしまう、好きじゃないってなってしまう。だけど、もう世界を見ていると、今私たちが教育を変えないと遅れてしまう。これだともう子どもたちが育った時にそれに対応できる子どもが育たないんじゃないかって危機感を持って、そしてマネージャーとしてですね、副校長ですけどマネージャーでいらっしゃるからスイートを運営する立場から言うと、たとえちょっとうまくいかないこととか心が痛いようなことがあってもやっぱりチェンジしていかないといけないっていうようなところは田中先生も皆さんに同じだと思うんですけれども、ここはスクールactually we have this class for school leadership. So as you mentioned, the leaders should know about everything, comparing with other people and the world. And if they feel a little bit painful, but we have to do it something for the future. 未来のためにもやっぱりやっていかないとっていうことですね。
これも大事。 これないだったらこれするのは難しい。That's the key. But one more thing about Japan, a strong point. When Japan decides to do something, there's nice cooperation across the country, more than Canada, more than America, or something like that. That is a strong point about Japan. 誰か
日本は一旦何かを決めたら本当に大勢の人たちでそれが前に進むように協力できるっていう点ではアメリカとか他の世界の国々と違うところじゃないでしょうかっていうふうにまとめていただきました。そしたら最後に拍手で